Okay, yeah, you're on.
Are you okay? Okay. So we're here with Jess, and we're just doing a little bit of deadlifting, and I've had a few people ask me about different prompts that we use during a deadlift. So the biggest things I aim for in deadlift is just making sure it's safe. Number one is just making sure it's safe, and the easiest way to quickly make sure that it's going to be safe, number one, is making sure everything's even. So what I try and do is with all the athletes is number one is foot position. If the feet are off center, then everything else in the chain is going to be a little bit off center, right? So what I try and do with Jess is make sure, forwards please, her feet are nice and even, just foot forward. What Jess likes to do is do a foot shuffle herself, just foot forward, there we go. So now we're nice and even for her particular foot position. Can you bring it slightly closer? There we go. And I'll just move the bar around them however I need to. Now, what do we do with our hands? That's the one, okay, yep, so wait. So what we try and do is make sure our hands are even too. So in here, I don't know if you can see, but there's like a knurl on the bar. There we go. So Jess has adjusted herself, knowing that she's not in the right spot. So making sure the hands are even, and then where do your eyes go, please? Bend your knees, now go. There we go, one, down. Now, eyes up, please. Two, down. Now we wait here, and now look. Three, good stuff. Four, one more, where your eyes go first. Five. There we go, give me a bit of that. Give me five. Good work. And we don't drop the bar, do we?
Oh no.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it's alright. Give me five. Good work. You grab some water? It's okay. So what we try and focus on doing is making sure everything's even, number one. When we're pulling the deadlift, the best thing I do is whenever I'm in nice and close with any of the athletes, is before they pull the next rep, I will pull the bar into them to make sure it starts off as close to their shins as we can. If the bar is a little further away, there's heaps more strain on the back. If we can pull it nice and close, you can have a little bit more of an upright position before you pull. And lastly, coming up for a lockout on a deadlift, so when we get up to the top, you might have heard me there saying to Jess, up nice and tall, she's pretty good with it now. But if the athlete is pulling a deadlift and coming up to the top, what we try and do is make sure everything's locked out. So up tall basically just means the knees are straight, the hips are straight, and then the body is nice and upright. And if we can make sure we get all of those, even if it's with a slight lean backwards, instead of the weight sitting into musculatures, so coming up to about here and then kind of having a lot of strain on the back and then putting it back down and then the strain just being in the back the whole time, what will happen is coming upward, getting a nice lock out in the knees, the hips, and a nice upright chest and shoulders back. It means that the weight is now being held more kind of by bony structures and kind of like through the joints rather than being held by a lot of musculatures having to really strain and hold on to that weight at the top of the lift. And it means you're going to fatigue out faster, much higher risk of injury. So we try and make sure the bar is even with foot position, nice and close before each rep. And that last prompt I was giving Jess was making sure that before she pulls it, her eyes come up a little bit more. It's not necessarily that you need to look at the sky to deadlift properly, it's just that that prompt will generally bring a back that is more rounded into a bit more of a flatter position. And that's just like a subconscious thing, because the more we look up, the more we try and raise our chest, because it means we less strain through the neck. So those are kind of my basics for coming into deadlifting. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, like Jess had an alternate grip on her deadlift. That's just because when the bar is pulling up with two overhands, it's going to be a little easier for the bar to fall out of the fingers if you don't have much grip. So what we do is we alternate those hands. It means there's no torsion. So we change which side Jess will have an upside down hand in order to allow her to be able to pull deadlifts. And by alternating which side she swaps over means she's not going to just have musculatures building on one side rather than the other. So number one is making sure it's safe and it's an easy weight for any of the athletes to lift. And then after that, we start building on other foundations. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can go into, but number one, safety. And safety comes from making sure everything is even in the first place, and then those other ones that we move through. So I hope that helps to all of our, a few of our friends in the States, one in the UK, a couple over in Western Australia. But yeah, I really hope that helps out in terms of trying to coach those deadlifts with any one of your athletes. That's just a small little portion. It's not the be all and end all, but I really hope that helps, guys. Hey Jess, come here, quick. Can you show your muscles? Thank you for being the demo. Give me 5. Show your muscles. Oh, she's the real champion. Hey, good work. You good? Yeah, okay. We're going to go again now.